So if you're an old fart like me, a millennial, or even older, you probably have fond memories of the movie theater going experience. Let's talk about those memories and why the theater experience will always be king. Hey, what is up, you guys? It's Nick here from the Lost River Drive-In, and today I wanted to talk to you guys specifically about movie theaters. I wanted to take a nostalgic trip down memory lane and just remember some of these times. I wanted to share some stories with you of some of my favorite movie theater experiences and really just what that was like and where we sit with it now today with the current movie going experience. So if you guys are fans of the movie theater going experience and you have some great nostalgic stories that you want to share in the comments, please share them down below with me. I know some of you guys watching have worked in movie theaters before and probably have an insane number of stories you want to share, and I want to hear it. I want to take you guys back. I want to take you guys back to a little kid Nick. I want to take you back to going to see Star Wars: The Phantom Menace as a small child with my mom and my stepdad and my siblings, and just remembering running up and down the aisles with my brothers because I was like 5 years old and not really understanding or appreciating what was happening on screen. And then a couple years later going to see Attack of the Clones and bringing my lightsaber with me, and my brother and I being so into it and really having knowledge of what I was seeing. Still not necessarily understanding the moment, but what that was like. And then Revenge of the Sith, the build up to that. As an 11-year-old kid, I couldn't wait. I was a huge fan at this point, and I was so excited to see how the entire saga was going to tie together. That's just one thing that comes to mind for me when it comes to the movie theater going experience. For a lot of people from my generation and generations before me, going to the movies was like an event. It was an experience. It was almost like a trip. It's kind of like what going to the rental store was like. Whether you went with friends or family, whether it was a weekly or a monthly or a daily thing. You'd go to the rental store and you guys would have criteria of this is how many movies we can rent or games we can rent. And you have to take it up to your mom and show it to her and make sure that she approves what you want to rent. And sometimes you didn't have rules, and that was the best. You could just grab something and she would blindly say, okay. That is what the movie theater experience used to be like as well. You'd get the family together, or you'd ride in the minivan with your friend's family, which happened to me many times, and you'd watch a DVD on the TV that was in the minivan as you were on your way to the theater to see a movie. And you'd get there and you just remember the lines outside and getting the popcorn and the pop and waiting at the concession stands and just being so giddy with excitement before the movie started and talking to your friends or your family or your girlfriend that you brought or your boyfriend that you brought. And it was a time. It was a time and place. And you see these videos going around on Instagram. It's got that sad music that just kind of makes you nostalgic and it makes you long for what once was. And going to the movie theaters and remembering those times is something like that for me. I remember specifically going to so many big movies that at the time I was so excited and I was so amped up for it, but I couldn't even really at the time understand the significance of the movie I was seeing or the moment I was in. Some of my favorite theater experiences I've ever had were Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. As a teenager, a fresh teenager, and just couldn't believe I was sitting in the theater and watching that movie on the big screen with my best friends, and we were just having a ball in a theater that was maybe halfway full on opening night, but we didn't care. And I remember being so excited watching trailers for the movie before my friend's family picked me up so we could all go see the movie together, and it just got me so much more excited for it beforehand. I remember seeing Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, and people were standing along the back wall because this was before you had assigned seating at certain theaters. So you could buy a ticket to another movie and then just walk into a different one, and if there were no seats available because it was sold out, you just stand in the back. And I remember being there and witnessing that, and that was just like I knew at that time with that movie specifically that was a big deal. It was something that even in that moment I could appreciate and I could understand. But like I said, it was it was an experience. We can talk about going to a drive-in theater. You're in the car with friends or family, and you've got the speakers outside the car, and you have to tune in to the right radio station so you can get the audio, and the screen is big. It's a summer night, or late summer, early summer, whatever it is. There's crickets, and you get the smell of summer in the air, and you're eating those not as good concessions, because they were never as good at the drive-in, specifically the popcorn, but they're good enough, and you associate it with the drive-in in particular. It's school's out, or school's about to be out for the summer, and that night, that moment that you're in that drive-in theater and you're watching whatever movie or whatever double feature you're watching, time ceases to exist. You don't realize that by the time you pull out of that drive-in theater, it's 1:30 in the morning, and oh my gosh, I've been up damn near all night. You just don't realize that, because it was a time and place. You had to be there, and everything else went away. And for a moment, there were no problems in your world. Everything was peaceful. Everything was serene. And it takes me back to what it used to be like during those times. I think that we take for granted some of these experiences when we're living through them, and we're not really appreciating the moment. And I guess that's nostalgia. That's the point of all of it. Life moves so fast, and things happen so unexpectedly that you almost are bound to take certain things for granted and not even know you are. And then you look back on it a decade or 2, 3 decades later, and you realize what you miss. I can remember getting the absolute shit scared out of me seeing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003. I can remember getting the shit scared out of me seeing The Conjuring in 2013. I can remember being so in awe seeing Revenge of the Sith on the big screen on opening weekend, and seeing Avatar, believe it or not, on the big screen in 3D opening weekend, and just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I can remember going and seeing Dead Man's Chest and just being in awe of the Kraken. And I can remember seeing Halloween 2007 and just couldn't believe that there was a new Halloween movie out. And I was in a theater to watch it, having grown up being a fan of those movies and collecting those movies, and you never know if there's going to be another one. And there's another one, and you get to sit there and you get to watch it unfold for the first time around people that are experiencing it at the same time. And you're with friends, or you're with family, or you're with a date, or even if you're by yourself, you just, again, time stops. It's just pure bliss. It's pure entertainment. It's pure enjoyment. It's happiness. It's a feeling that you can't really describe. I remember when the dreaded C word, COVID, happened, and everybody was talking about the streaming wars, and how streaming was going to be king now, and it was going to overtake everything, and the movie theater experience and the movie going experience was going to be dead. It was going to be rendered obsolete. And I never for a second bought that. And if you followed me on here or on social media during that time, I said many, many times, I don't think that's going to happen. And here we are in 2024, and movies are doing really well again, and people are getting back to normal life. And I think that is because it's not even necessarily about the movie sometimes. It's about the experience. I said earlier in the video that for some people it's a tradition. For some people it's their go-to date night. For some people it's their getaway, their place of zen to go by themselves and turn off the world for 2 hours. Whatever the reason being that you go to the movie theater, that place is special to a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's as simple as, I've got to see this movie the day it comes out because I don't want it to get spoiled online. There are a plethora of reasons for why people go to the movie theater, why they did before COVID and why they're going back now after. It is that unique experience and that place and those concessions and those memories and those soon-to-be-made memories, and that nostalgia from when you were younger. It's so many different reasons why, if you were ever a fan of going to the theater, you always will be. And no matter what happens in the world or what happens in your world specifically, you'll find your way back to it. I'm sure you guys remember seeing a big movie on opening weekend, and you remember the anticipation leading up to it, and you remember watching it unfold, and you remember it, and I'm sure fondly. I'm sure a lot of you still to this day get super excited sometimes for a movie. Or sometimes you just go to the theater to see a new movie because you just want to go to the theater. You might not even be that excited for this new movie. I think of The First Omen, a movie that I was so lukewarm on, I couldn't care less. And I went and saw it, and I loved it, but I went for the experience first and foremost. That is so underrated and underappreciated. Now, I know the movie theater going experience nowadays isn't exactly the same because a lot of people have phones and a lot of people don't shut the hell up. But I do feel like that's gotten better in recent years, and I think that's probably coming out of COVID. I've noticed since then, people are quiet. People respect the process. Now, maybe I'm on an island there, or maybe you guys are starting to see it too, where people are really starting to take it seriously again because maybe they realized they were taking it for granted. So maybe we're bound to have a boomerang effect and go back to people acting like assholes at the movies. I don't know. But I feel like we're in a really good time and a really good space for this right now. And I'm never going to take that for granted. And I don't think that streaming could ever overtake the movie theater. Convenience is one thing, yes, but I think it's just people just have this fondness for the theater. Like I said, for many different reasons. And whatever your reason is, more power to you. Just so long as you still get to experience that and get the feeling of going to the theater. Whatever feeling it gives you, you still get that from going there. Nowadays, we get these popcorn tubs that are collectibles and they're cool and everybody's rushing out to go get them. And that's another reason to go to the theater. They used to do stuff like that when I was a kid for movies. Shrek, or it'd be tie-ins with like Wendy's or Burger King or whatever it may be. And now you got the theaters doing these things. And that's really cool. And I think it brings people out there to go see those movies again, even if it's a re-release of a movie. Look no further than the Phantom Menace's re-release coming up. And they've got merch for it and memorabilia. And they'll probably get my ass out to see it because of that. It's just... I guess the point of this video was just to kind of reminisce a little bit, guys, because Christian and I were talking about this the other day together, just about certain things, memories and whatnot, and it just kind of makes you reflect back and it makes you think about certain things. And I know I don't do this a lot, like get deep and really kind of deconstruct a thought, via video, but I thought this would be fun. I thought it would be a really good idea, and I thought it would get you guys talking too. I know a lot of you guys have great stories and I want to hear them. So I guess the whole point of this video was, let me reminisce a little bit on when times were simpler, and let me tell you why I think the movie theater experience was never going to die, and why the theater will always be king. And that as long as new movies are being made and they're coming out, theater's always going to be the number one place to go to. But I want to hear what you guys have to say down below. Comment, let me know some of your favorite experiences, some of your favorite memories. Seeing the Lord of the Rings trilogy in theaters. I mean, all of these insanely, monumental moments of cinema history that I didn't even know were going to be so important when I was in the moment seeing them. That's really cool. But I want to hear from you guys what yours were. So comment down below, leave a like on this video, and thanks for letting me get real with you. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.